Quantemplate links organizations together so that they can share and translate their business data. It's a no-code platform that automates entire data processes at scale, and it uses network intelligence to collaboratively improve data quality and automate workflows. So here's how it works. Quantemplate requests data from your trading partners through feeds. When you're receiving data from multiple parties, it's probably not going to be in the format that you need it. In fact, it's going to be fragmented across multiple formats, all needing a thorough cleanup. So, as soon as the data arrives, it runs straight through pipelines to map, cleanse, enrich, and validate the data. Failed validations can be played back to the supplier, who can then correct the data directly in Quantemplate. Once the data passes, Quantemplate orchestrates the handoff to downstream systems, so that's to your data warehouse, a geocoder, or your AI models. When the predictive models' results are ready, Quantemplate joins them back to your business data and routes them to where they're needed. Feeds can automatically pass data onto your downstream trading partners so that they too can have a real-time view of inventories, portfolios, or risks. And Analyze tools give you custom reporting and visualization. Knowledge of how data is corrected, mapped, and transformed is securely shared, allowing data quality to be automated across the network. In this video, we'll show you how it works, focusing first on the AI and ML features. Then we'll run through a full product demo, showing the data running through fully automated from ingestion to output. All Quantemplate AI is delivered by our own proprietary models and systems, which fall into 4 areas: trace, robot, network intelligence, and corrections. On the technical side, our AI stack has been developed in Scala, running on commoditized CPUs, which allows us to run at very high efficiency and low costs for the data volumes that we process and the value that we provide. Trace was the first intelligent automation we developed and deployed on the platform in 2016. The trace acts as a co-pilot to continuously check and validate your configuration. It's not only checking that you've entered valid formulae, if you're working with calculations, it's monitoring the full pipeline config in real time with real data, checking for things like missing join points which could block a pipeline run. It also checks your data lineage across the system, preventing the creation of infinite loops when linking pipelines, feeds, and datasets together, both within your organization and across the network. Quantemplate's flexibility, combined with these guardrails, mean that you can build or tune pipelines very rapidly and with no risk. The robot is our agentic helper, first released in 2024, who automates jobs for you across the platform. The robot will schedule data requests, listen for data updates to run pipelines and publish the results. You can even ask it to make decisions for you around how data gets mapped in and set limits on its confidence threshold. Finally, the robot will send data out of Quantemplate via API to third-party AI models and analytics. Network intelligence is the suite of central algorithms for mapping schemas and values using fuzzy matching, combined with machine learning from user input across the network. We introduced this in 2017 and have been continuously tuning and improving it since. In map column headers, multiple files with mismatching header names and structures can be mapped to a single master, using suggestions from across your organization or across the network. Automap values does the same for individual data records. For example, for performing entity resolution, where you want to map variations on a company name to a single known good value. In this case, we're looking at a large dataset of millions of company names from S&P Capital IQ, then doing a fuzzy match against that of our incoming data. This includes natural language processing to identify the most unique words within the data to improve the match quality. The results appear in a report where you can review and approve mappings, which then teaches the model how to map similar records in future. Finally, we have corrections, released just a couple of weeks ago. Quantemplate checks your data against validation rules. These can be out-the-box checks for data type conformity or custom rules specific to your business domain. Corrections allow you to amend validation exceptions, building automated mappings, or request corrections from the data supplier. This crowdsourcing of rules to deal with data anomalies can be shared, allowing you to build a library that becomes more comprehensive and accurate by incorporating the best intelligence from across the network. So let's jump into a full product demo. We're going to look at data coming in through feeds, being processed automatically by pipelines, then sent out again, either via feeds or connecting to models, downstream systems via the data area, and also a quick look at the reporting tools. So here we are in the feeds environment. This is where we connect to third parties. So we have data coming in from Acme MGA, ACR, BetaCo, all connected to different feeds. Some of them are feeds requesting data, so data coming in. Some of them are sending data out, and some of them are doing both those things, taking data in and passing it on. It's really easy to manage all these feeds. We've got tags, so you can share with a group of users or perform a specific function. We can quickly see the status of our data, whether it's complete, whether we're still waiting for data, or if it's overdue, it'll also be highlighted here, so you can quickly act upon that. If the data is overdue, the person who's supposed to be submitting that data will get an automated reminder. So all your workflow is automated within here. If we go into one of these feeds, we can see we have submissions. Each submission is a package of data, so we're requesting data once a month within this feed. That is all fully automated using a schedule where we set the parameters for how frequently we want to receive data, when the deadline is, when we want reminders to go out. And this is all set up centrally by your org admin, so if there are any changes, it only needs to be changed in one place. The feed also has subsections. So we're receiving premium from one party and claims from another party. If we look at the kind of data we're receiving, premium, we're getting just a monthly snapshot, whereas claims, we're getting full inception to date data. But each month has been split out across a separate tab. So quite a typical thing to see in insurance, but absolutely no problem to process in Quantemplate. It'll ingest those different formats in the pipelines and connect the datasets together automatically to get a complete inception to date view. I can see the connected parties on this feed up here. I'm receiving data from AC RANs. They're a TPA in this case, so a third-party adjuster. And they're supplying the claims. I'm receiving the premium from Placefield brokers. If we go into the data chain of custody, we can see that Placefield brokers is accepting the premium data from Acme MGA. They're taking that data in and passing it straight on to us. So we have this immutable record of the data for all parties within the chain. We can see we've recently received the data from AC RANs & Co, but we haven't yet received the data from Acme for this month. We're processing the data automatically, and we're then passing it on to Bullingdon Capital. Now, this might be a parent company who you're doing management reporting to, or you could be passing it on to a reinsurer or a regulator for reporting purposes. So let's go back to the feeds and see what happens when we submit that data. So I'm going to flip over now to Acme MGA using the organization switcher. You can be a member of multiple organizations in Quantemplate. And I'm just going to select Acme MGA here. So I'm now the Acme MGA user. I have a list of my partnerships here. I'm going to go into my feeds. And you can see I've got the full historical record of the data that I have submitted. If I go into one of these files, I can see exactly the data that was submitted and when, and all of the submitted data is versioned. So if I need to resubmit data, both versions are tracked, along with the reason for the resubmission. So it's the end of the month. I've received a notification saying that I need to submit data. Just drag and drop it in. It's asking me to assign it to the premium. So I'm telling the system that I'm submitting premium data. And there it is, ready to go. Okay, that's been submitted. You can see it's got my avatar there and the timestamp of when it was submitted. You can see the claims were submitted by a different party. It's submitted by Adrian in AC Rands & Co. Now let's switch back to example re. You can see the data was submitted there. If we go to my pipelines, you can see it's running a couple of pipelines there. So that just happened automatically. If we go into our Acme data claims pipeline, on the left we see the process that the data is going through. So it's importing the premium data or policy data, separately importing the claims data, and we had set up the automation here so that both of those packages of data had to arrive before the pipeline would run automatically. If we go into the flow view, we can see it's mapped out exactly what data we're using in this pipeline. We can see that it's running it through. So it's taking the Acme MGA data from that feed, it's combining it with reference data, so the master headers that we're mapping it to, some reference data sets such as postal codes, taxes, fees, and so on, mappings, company groups, joining it back in to a combined data set. And then it's outputting it automatically. It's going to send it to our staging data set, which is connected via API to some downstream systems. Send it automatically to a feed. And now you can see it's finished outputting here, and that's triggered a run of our AWS geocoder pipeline to look up city addresses, tag them with a lat long. And we can use that for our reporting and our models. So let's flip back to the outputs view. We can see it ran successfully, just a couple of minutes to run all that data. We can see all the previous runs of data here, what the results were, and who ran it. Here we're seeing what triggered that pipeline run. It was the Acme MGA premium and claims data. So all fully auditable. And if we scroll down, we can see that the data underwriting dataset was updated automatically. The general ledger was updated automatically. There's a validation issue which prevented the data being exported to this output feed. Now I can go in and review the validations. So I've set up a number of validation checks within the pipeline. So I've got some validation issues there, but if I review them and I'm happy with them, then I can just push that to the output feed. Let's go back to look at that feed. So you can see that feed was updated by the pipeline, and it was a automated pipeline run. So we see that the robot user, our AI agent, was responsible for that run. Let's take a quick look at how that general ledger dataset was created. You see the row number, the row count has reduced dramatically there, and that's because we were doing a pivot or an aggregation. So we had a drag and drop operation there to say we want these columns in our data. These are the dimensions of our pivot. We then aggregated up the premium values and the fees. We also have a little validation there to check that each of these were only producing one row of data and we weren't exploding out the data by having, say, multiple versions of the same state value. So a really easy way to roll up the data with the kind of validations built in that we've learnt from mapping hundreds of thousands of bordereaux. We then go over to the data repo. We can see that this is the big data set that we have exported to our models, downstream systems, geocoder. You can see at the top that we're not just producing the data, but profiling it at the same time. We've detected the type for each column. We have developed a semantic profile of each column. So that means we've looked at every row of data and we're able to detect where data doesn't match the specified type. And that's really handy for validating the data and also for informing the AI mapping logic. And we see here that we get the full lineage of where the data originated and what processes it went through to get here. So going back to the flow view, let's go and have a look at one of these reports. And we can see that that report is updated automatically. Got all our management level reporting in here. It's easy to apply filters to this. So if I just wanted to see business by certain states, we can quickly filter down to do that. And this is all extremely easy to set up with drag and drop. You can see it's very easy for me to add additional criteria to my pivot table to further analyze the data. So that's the fully automated end-to-end workflow in Quantemplate. To learn more about Quantemplate's data network, its mission and its origins, check out the About page on our website.